been a minute. It's been more than a minute. It's been over a year since I posted on this channel. It's wild, and a lot has happened in this last year. Some people will know more than others, not much more, but I've posted a little bit about it on Instagram. So today is really about me explaining what has actually happened, why I've been gone, what happened with the half Ironman, and what's been happening this past sort of 9 months or so. So first and foremost, let's start off with the half Ironman. Obviously the last video I posted was me leading up to doing my first half Ironman, and I stopped posting I think around 2 months before I did it. And the reason I stopped posting was mainly because I was so dedicated to the training that I just didn't want to try and film training for the half Ironman. It just kind of got to the point where I was just like really conscious of actually just getting the Ironman done rather than trying to film it. So I just stopped basically. So I stopped filming. I still did like little clips here and there when I was doing stuff on Instagram, but basically stopped filming and just focused 100% on the training. And we did it. I did the half Ironman, so I better start with that. We did the half Ironman. It was in September last year, and I did it. However, it wasn't without trials and tribulations. It was not a very straightforward week at all, and I'll tell you a little bit about that now. Now, first off, I hate that this happens, not because it happened, but also because I have to explain that it's happened, and it sounds like the worst excuse ever. It's just the worst excuse, but it's not an excuse, but it is. But I still did it, so who cares? Basically, I finished my final training session, like hard training session, on the Sunday before the event. The event was also on a Sunday. It was the following weekend. I can't remember if it was a Saturday or the Sunday. I think it was the Sunday. So I finished my last hard training session on the Sunday. It was a bike ride into a run, and I felt really good. I felt like so fit. Like I felt the best I've ever felt. All of my sessions were going really well, and I was just really excited to do the event. So come the next morning, and I wake up with like a terrible stomach bug. Like I was incredibly ill, fever, like really unwell. And I was like, you know, it's fine, it's Monday, I've got the whole week to get better, so it'll be absolutely fine. And I weighed in on the Sunday at 80 kg. It might have even been 79.9, which is the lowest I've been in like 6 or 7 years. So I was already very light and lean. So anyway, Monday, get really sick, but it's fine. I've got a good amount of time to get healthy again and ready for the event. So, you know, Tuesday comes, still ill. Wednesday comes, still ill. Thursday, I haven't got the fever anymore, but my stomach is still terrible. Basically, everything I ate was just going straight through me. All I was eating was plain bowls of rice. So my full day of eating would be a bagel in the morning, a plain bagel, and then 3 separate bowls of rice throughout the day. That's it. I had a little bit of salt to the rice. That was all I was eating from Thursday until the event. So I basically lost 3 kilos that week of weight, was unable to take any nutrients in, I was sleeping like crap, felt like crap. So it was like the least optimal way to start a half Ironman. Like you're dehydrated, you've got no energy because you're not keeping anything down. So it was really not ideal. But mentally at this point, I was so locked into the event, I didn't really care. My family were telling me not to do it because they were like, you're going to be so dehydrated, it's dangerous, which to a certain degree, I was like, yeah, but I actually lied. I said to my family that I'd spoken to the doctor, and they said that I'm actually doing better, so it's fine. I hadn't spoken to the doctor, I was just not going to not do it. It was one of the last events, if not the last event I could do that side of Christmas, and I wasn't going to wait until the following year to do it. So I was just like, I don't care what's happening, I'm gonna do it. So anyway, let's get to race day. Race morning, my stomach is still the same, right? So it's not got any better, I can't keep anything down, and my biggest worry is that I'm gonna shit myself at some point during this race, because, you know, I mean, even if you didn't have a bad stomach, it's something that can happen during an endurance race. When you're taking lots of gels, electrolytes, your stomach doesn't like it. So I knew I had to do something to protect myself from shitting myself at multiple stages throughout the race. So I took a bunch of Imodium, which obviously is horrible anyway, but I took it, I was like, look, I'm just gonna plug myself up, I'm not risking having some kind of accident and not finishing because of that. So plugged myself up with Imodium, and then just got myself locked in for the day, got ready, got all my gels together, all of my electrolytes, and just got packed up and headed over to the event. I think we had to get there for like 7. I can't quite remember what time we got there. I think it was 7. And then, you know, checked in, and then started the process of preparing all my kit. So this is where one of the biggest mistakes came for me on the day as well, because I was so disorganized with my setup. I just got so flustered when I got there, and I left one of my bags with Annie and had to go and run back through the sort of like athlete check-in thing and find Annie and get all my other stuff. And then when I was just getting ready, I just felt like I didn't have enough time to get everything sorted and get down to the lake before we started the swim. Everything just basically got on top of me, and I couldn't remember what I was supposed to be doing. So that was like panic mode. I didn't even have time to think about the actual race itself. I was just stressed that I was going to forget something, which I definitely did. I forgot my gels for my bike, which was just terrible. And then I also forgot a towel, so I was absolutely frozen when I got out of the water. Anyway, I'm skipping forward. So I messed up a bunch of my stuff. So my transition setup was terrible, but whatever. I got my wetsuit on, I went down to the water. So get down to the water, and up until this point, I'd only come with my mum, one of my good friends, Niall, and my girlfriend Annie, because we were doing the event all the way up north. It was about 4 hours from where we live, and the rest of my family just said that they couldn't make it, which was fair enough. I wasn't really, I didn't really think anything of it. It made sense. It was quite far. So anyway, I get down to the lake entrance with everyone sort of huddled up like little penguins, and looked to my left, and there was loads of family who had secretly come up to see me and support me. And I was just like really blown away by it, and it actually made me quite emotional because it was just crazy. I was just like, I just didn't expect it. And then all of a sudden the sort of magnitude of what was about to happen kind of hit me, and I had to really, really suck it up so I didn't fucking start crying before I started. So anyway, so that was like a nice motivating moment, and like just was crazy. And they're all wearing t-shirts with me on it from when I went to some like football competition in Sweden when I was a kid. And it was just, yeah, it was a really special moment, and definitely got me pumped up for the race ahead, which I definitely needed. So got into the lake, and straight away I was like, wow, this is absolutely freezing. It's way colder than the one that I swam in, and I cannot see my arms under the water. I'm not exaggerating when I say I went under the water and I kept doing it. I could not see my arms. It was so murky. There was about 5 minutes when we got in the water to when we started, and I kept sort of like knocking around people being like, can you see your arms? I was like, I can't see my arms. And I must have sounded like an absolute nut job, but anyway, that was just like, okay, great, this is gonna be fun. And it was 5 laps of what looks like the same length as the one that I've been doing. Obviously it wasn't, but I was like, this looks way longer. For some reason it felt way longer to me than the swims that I'd been doing before. So anyway, the race kicks off, I do the swim, and straight away, like, I did not feel very good at all. My stomach was so unhappy with the situation, but I just persevered. I think it took me like 50 minutes to do it. I was very happy to be able to get out of the water, but equally when I got out of the water, I was so disorientated. My hands and my feet were completely numb. I actually have like Raynaud's, which is when your hands and your feet like basically have poor circulation. So I was like, I was freezing. So I got out of the water anyway, got to my bike. This is where I realized I'd left my other gels in the bag with my girlfriend Annie, so I couldn't do anything at that point, so I had to just go. I had some gels in my belt, and I think I had a few in the bag on the front, but I think I had like 2 hours worth that I was missing. So anyway, got on the bike, got started, and because I'd forgotten my towel, I was just absolutely frozen when I got on the bike. And I remember this so vividly. Like, I got on the bike and I came around the corner and I started on the first straight, and I literally remember saying to myself in my head, like, why the fuck have you done this? Like, I literally said that because it felt like I had such a long way to go, but I did. I had 90k on the bike to do and then a half marathon. So anyway, I did that first lap. I think for the first like 40 minutes, I felt pretty miserable, but then after that, I actually came into my element, started feeling good. On the second lap, I started overtaking quite a few people and I felt really strong. And then anyway, finished up my bike and started my run. Now, for me, during my training, the thing that I was thinking about the most was how my legs would feel off the back of the bike. In my training, it was fine. I'd always feel like I had enough, but I never did like the 90k into a run, and especially into a half marathon. It was always like maybe a 5k, 7k, nothing longer than that. So I came off the bike and I was like, and I felt like I'd been managing my efforts, or like managing your tires in the F1. I was managing my efforts so that I wasn't like gonna be too fucked when I got off the bike basically. And got my shoes on, started running, and I was like, you know what? Like, I feel pretty good. I felt pretty light on my feet, and I think that's when you know you feel pretty good when you're running, is when it feels like you're just floating. So I was like, okay, sick. Got started running and ran past all my family. 2 minutes later, 2 minutes, not even that, I would say 30 seconds after I ran past them, my stomach, from the gels that I had, and all the electrolytes just went, whoop. If I didn't have that Imodium in, it would have been like the floodgates opening. It was terrible. This was 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers into the run, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna shit myself. Like, I had to stop multiple times. I think I had to stop like, let's say 20 times. I basically had to run, walk. And there were moments where I had to literally brace myself and like not shit myself, because I was like, it was just terrible. Absolutely terrible. So I did the first half of the half marathon in like, it's like an hour. The second half, it took me like an hour and a half to finish the second half of the half marathon. I basically just had no ability to control my stomach, and as I said, if it wasn't for the Imodium, it would have been a completely different story, but there were no toilets on the run, there was nowhere to go, so I just had to continually manage that process. So that was super miserable. And what was crazy is my heart rate was about 140. When I finished the half marathon and finished the overall event, my heart rate was only like 140. I was barely able to push myself because I was feeling like I was gonna shit myself every 2 seconds. So it was a miserable 2.5 hours. Like, I cannot deny it was terrible. And yeah, and that was it. That was my half Ironman. I did it in like 6 hours, and I think it was like 6.5 hours with like transitions and things like that. It ended up being around 6.5 hours. At that point, I was just happy to get over the finish line and be done with it. I basically did the same run like 5 days after and did it in like 1 hour 40, which is like almost an hour quicker than I ran the half marathon in the race. But anyway, that was the experience. That's how it went. And I'm definitely going to be doing another one. I want to do a sprint triathlon. I want to do an Olympic. I want to do all of them. That half Ironman was the only event I've ever done. Before I started, I hadn't even done a 5K park run. So the lack of experience definitely made a negative impact on the day. But equally, I'm super hungry to do it. And I've even been thinking more about doing like a full one, but I wouldn't do that for a couple of years after I've done some like more triathlons and more. I've got to do a marathon. I can't just go in and do a full Ironman if I haven't even done a marathon. So I need to do a few things to make sure that I'm able to do it. But yeah, that is basically the full story of my half Ironman. Okay, so the other thing that's been happening, which is going to kind of explain more of the last sort of 9 months, so since the half Ironman, is I have been suffering with my health. And I'm not going to dwell on this for very long, because I don't want to be someone that's like, oh, I'm unwell, blah, blah, blah. I just want to say it so that you're aware of why I've been away, and then we can move on from that, and I can talk about what I'm doing to progress and move forward. The long and short of it is I struggled a lot with my health, and because of that I struggled a lot with some severe health anxiety. Like, I'll put it frankly, it was terrible. I was not in a good place, and it was just me being super stressed about my health, worrying that I'm going to keel over every day, and like, you know, that was basically the bottom line. We're getting there, we're making steps and moving forwards. I've had so many investigations and scans to rule out like a lot of nasty things, which is great. And that's obviously given me a lot of peace of mind to be able to start getting back to life and doing things normally, which for any of you that follow me on social media will notice that I've definitely started doing. Obviously me doing this video is a prime example of that. So that's what's been happening, and that's kind of where I'm at with things. And also during that time, I managed to pick up an injury. Well, I actually picked up a few injuries, and I'm almost certain the reason that I got injured is because my body has been a little bit depleted and deficient. I've got deficiencies that came back from my bloods, and I think ultimately that's probably why my body has got injured. It's not the sole reason, but I'm sure like my body being a little bit weaker than usual is probably why that's happened. So I've very much been going through this rebuild phase and rehabilitating my knee to get better. And you know, it's actually been a blessing to go through it, because it's forced me to look at some of the weak points that I've got, especially focusing on strengthening my glutes and my core, and those being areas that have likely led to me having issues with my knee and also my lower back. So, you know, I'm rebuilding my physique and my foundations in a way that's going to protect me for the long term so I don't get injured again, but also so I can perform better when I can get back to running. So yeah, that's kind of a snapshot of what's been going on the last 6 to 9 months. And yeah, I'm definitely out the other end. I'm still figuring some things out, and we're still trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, but we're getting there nonetheless, and that's what's most important. So yeah, that's literally the full update. That's everything that's been going on. And yeah, apologies if it's been a bit of a long one. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you staying locked in and, you know, being interested in what's been happening. And what I do want to say is one last thing is I'm fully back and I'm locked in, and from now on, you've got my word, I'm going to be posting once a week on YouTube. I'm starting off with a 10 to 12 part series, which is going to be the Rebuild series, and it's going to be me going through everything. I'll take you through my nutrition, my training, my rehab, everything I'm doing to get myself back to full strength and full health, and hopefully back to doing the things that I love and sign up to the events that I want to be signed up to. So stay tuned. I'll be posting once a week, and I appreciate all of you that stuck around and waited for me to post, and I hope you've enjoyed catching up and listening to what's been going on, and I'm excited to see you all in the next video. Thanks guys, peace.